Start it now. It is high noon. Welcome to Tech Tuesday. I'm John West with ASG Technologies, and I'm also a tri-chair of the Tech Titans Analytics and Insights Forum. I know we still have people joining in, and this is a relatively new platform, but I do want to point out if you're having any trouble, any problems with the new platform, Remo, there is a link in the frequently asked questions on the right of the screen in the chat, a link to FAQs. So Tech Tuesdays is the new programming concept by Tech Titans to provide a unique time, a standing time in our weekly events for the various forums to present subject matter experts discussing cutting edge technologies. So mark your calendars for the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month during the noon hour and enjoy an outstanding presentation like the one we're about to hear. For those of you who are accustomed to being able to mingle and meet colleagues in the pre-COVID area, rest assured we'll have some extended time on this platform for networking and following the close of the presentation. So from about 1 to 1:30, this will become we'll segue into a networking platform here. You don't have to do anything, but you'll learn about it later. So whether it's these Tech Tuesdays, the tech industry luncheons on the third Friday of the month, all the work of our talent or innovation teams or many of the other programs, Tech Titans continues its long-standing commitment to being a champion of the North Texas tech community. So information and registration for all the upcoming events can be found on the Tech Titans website, is www.techtitans.org. The presenting sponsor of the Analytic Forum is 7T, and here to welcome us to today's program and tell us a little bit about the company is 7T President Shane Long. Shane?
Hey, thanks, John. Appreciate it. Hey, guys. Good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Shane Long. I'm the president, COO, one of the owners of 7T. Many of you may know us as 7 Tablets. We did rebrand last year to better align with our purpose and direction of being well more than just mobile development. We're excited to be another year of sponsoring Tech Titans. We're a big fan of what the group does for us. A lot of value to be had here, and I encourage you all to explore things you've done with the company. It's a big part of our region, and we're proud to have it here. Briefly, 7T, we're a Dallas-based digital transformation and consulting company. In short, we're a business accelerator. We specialize in custom software, mobile apps, and a lot of cloud services these days for innovative startups, high-growth startups to accelerate revenue, and also to equip our Fortune 500 clients like SiriusXM, PepsiCo, Bell Helicopter, Lockheed, and other key names here in North Texas. We have a unique business-first approach, meaning business before technology. We partner with clients to challenge their assumptions, deliver innovative solutions, and strive for 10x ROI on all projects. Really appreciate, again, coming out today. Look forward to working with you guys all, and thanks for your time. Have a good meeting.
Thank you so much, Shane. We really appreciate your company's continued support of this forum through your sponsorship. Before we get started with our keynote presentation, I want to review how the audience can submit questions. So this is a new and improved method using the Remo platform. On the right-hand part of the main screen, you should see a box that has 3 icons: the chat room that I mentioned a moment ago for the FAQs, a participants icon where you can check on who is attending today, and the Q&A function. Please use the Q&A function for your questions, not the chat room. The questions will be posed to the speakers after the completion of the presentation, and we'll do that in the order that they're asked. You can also upvote questions by clicking on, to the left of it to bump it up in the Q&A queue. So the Analytics and Insight Forum is delighted to host this discussion about data literacy, data value, and a data-driven culture with Radha Mahapatra and Brian White. Excuse me, Brian. Radha is the professor and chair for the Information Systems and Operation Management Programs for the College of Business at UT Arlington, and Brian White is the vice president for North American Support and Repair with Ericsson. Radha teaches data warehousing and business intelligence, healthcare IS, and IT management at UTA. His research interests include reducing health disparities, healthcare IS, agile software development processes, and data quality. His research has been published in various journals, including the MIS Quarterly, Journal of AIS, and Communications of the ACM. Brian passionately pursues the delivery of the ultimate customer experience. His roles at Ericsson and other companies have helped Brian address complex problems leading to meaningful business solutions. His specialties include professional services, operations management, customer care, team building, analytics, business development, process improvement, and many more. Brian also is a past tri-chair of the Analytics and Insights Forum. So gentlemen, welcome to the Tech Tuesday presentation. Would like to hand it off to Brian and Radha to begin discussing the concept of how to establish data literacy in support of a data-driven organization.
Thank you,
Brian.
Thank you, John. And I want to thank Shane again for being the sponsor. Very important for Tech Titans to have sponsors, and 7T has been the sponsor of the Analytics and Insights Forum for several years. We truly appreciate it. Why don't I bring up the presentation we'll see today? Okay. The discussion of data literacy has a lot of dimensions, and so we'll focus really in one area today around how increasing and applying an industry academic program can really help an organization proliferate the data literacy potentially faster, but certainly with more depth than possibly a variety of other areas. But we will also cover off a number of dimensions that can help you with the data literacy program. So Radha and I will tag team a bit today as we go. So in the immortal words of Strother Martin in Cool Hand Luke, what we have here is a failure to communicate. Data literacy is the ability to read, write, and communicate data, but within context and with a goal of delivering some level of value to the stakeholders. If the participants in the ecosystem can't speak with each other, what you end up with is confusion, frustration, maybe worse, lack of deliverables, right? So the concept of do you speak data from somebody who is a data scientist to someone who's a very strong business person but doesn't necessarily understand what's being communicated has been shown by Gartner to be, the second only to the culture, the challenges in data culture as a roadblock to building a data-driven enterprise. And right behind that is actually the competency development. So those three are very closely tied. The information barrier that happens, though, keeps companies from adequately using information assets, and data is a very strong asset to be used. So what we'll talk about today is some of the challenges here and one or more approaches to how you might consider addressing data literacy in your organization. So professional diversity often equates to language diversity. And what we mean by that is that you'll have veterans and rookies and data architects and data analysts and et cetera throughout your organization that speak a different language. The brand new data scientist clearly understands the methods of utilizing these new data tools and new data methods, but the veteran who may have been in a role for 30 years, who's very comfortable in a way of doing things that didn't necessarily have the advantage of using these data assets, may not be able to communicate effectively. Similarly, even people within the domain of data, the architects and the strategists may be using a slightly different language or even a completely different language than the business intelligence developers who are driving the insights out of analytics. And of course, then we have the industry verticals with each different vertical having its own language, and the business domains where, again, there's a difference in communication of what matters and what is the language of that domain. So what is really needed is a way to translate this data across the organization. And that translator is often viewed as, hey, let's bring in a chief data officer. This person fully understands data, understands structure, understands how to make our organization a data enterprise. Or it could be even broader than that, where a data transformation office is brought on, where that part of the organization, that department, is given the remit of building data transformation. Anybody who's ever been in this world of data and the data, the use of data across the organization understands that these silos that exist, though, are very hard for an individual, a chief data officer, or even a department to break down. And what happens is, again, that those data assets aren't necessarily built, they aren't delivered the way that you would hope they would be. So in order to drive a data-driven enterprise, it isn't necessarily going to be done through a department. And so what I'd like to do is hand off to Radha, Professor Mahapatra, for him to talk a little bit about what are some of the needs of the enterprise and the people in order to achieve this.
Thanks, Brian. I also want to thank Tech Titan for giving us this opportunity to share what we are doing with Ericsson. In particular to John West and Paul Bendel. And I want to thank the audience for attending this presentation. Now, to give a little background how I and Brian got together to work on this project is, Brian is, we have a business analytics program, and Brian is on our advisory board. And a couple years ago, Ericsson was trying to create this data culture within the company, and we had a conversation, and we got together and have tried, and we rolled out a program which so far has worked out well, and that's the beginning of this project. And at the beginning, we looked at it as a change management issue. Now, bringing a data culture involves doing things differently, thinking about problems differently, looking at them from different perspectives. And we have not done that over the last 10, 20, in case of Ericsson, perhaps 100 years. And so how do we change people's attitude to how they do things? And this has to happen at the individual level and also at the organization level. Now, at the individual level, we want our employees, our staff to have data skill. They need to learn the tools and techniques of applying data analytics skill to the problems that they encounter. Now, in case of with data science or analytics, it's a little more challenging because it's not just about learning tools. The tools are plentiful, and you can invest in tools and you can roll them out. But in order to effectively apply data analytics tools to make decisions, you need to have strong domain knowledge. That is a big challenge. So the issue there is, how do we give this data analytics skill to our domain experts? So that's the challenge that we wanted to address. So they need to have skills and the tools, and they already have the domain expertise. Now, then it has to translate to the organization level. It is not the individual, the department the change has to happen at the group level. People have to think about it from a data-driven perspective to address their problems, and that has to permeate the entire organization. So that was the so we wanted to provide the skills and to the people, to the employees, and that also learning these skills and applying these requires thinking from an innovative perspective. Addressing issues from different perspectives also needs time. They need to be given the time to learn and apply. And so that is the change management issue that we try to address in this situation. Brian, should we go to the next?
Yeah, if you don't mind me just dovetailing a bit on this one, if an enterprise is really to take on across organization the data literacy challenge, the best way to make it happen is to engage both sponsors and to get an executive champion, somebody who will drive it through the organization. That can be that data transformation officer. That could be the person who is the person driving that. In our case, I was the person who became part of the program and helped to drive it across the organization. And it takes quite a bit of effort. But the end result is that I've had the opportunity to interact with a myriad of very talented people within Ericsson. 45 people have gone through the 3 cohorts that we've had so far within this program. And we've got over a dozen sponsors that are, it's almost 2 dozen sponsors that are working with us to expand the use of these new skills that these people have developed. So we'll talk about the program in a bit, but I wanted to point those 2 out. It's, a company can have objectives, a company can have tools. You might even have a value focus, but if you don't engage the executives in the organization in a way that is meaningful, that they get behind it and they really push it, it's going to be very hard to get it across the organization. So that's just, you have to break that silo. So let's talk about Ericsson then as the use case for this data literacy study. Ericsson is a 140-year-old company. 140 plus year old company, has 100,000 employees, 5 market areas, 3 business domains, arguably 4, but 3 very big ones. A bunch of companies that we've bought that are external to the company, 10 plus product units that are producing different products, 180 countries and the languages that go with them. Very, very challenging from a silo, from a historical ways of working, to get a data literacy program and a data culture that sticks. I will give Ericsson a huge amount of credit. We've invested in data transformation office. We have lighthouse programs. If you don't know what those are, it's basically focused areas to build the kinds of innovations that are needed. And we are absolutely transforming. And it's, part of this program that we have that we're talking about today, that I'll hand off to Radha to talk about in a minute, is a big part of, in North America, making this a reality. We have some of the cohort graduates that are in attendance today, and if they have time to socialize afterwards, then that would be fantastic. You get to hear directly from them what they gained from this program and how it's placing their career on the trajectory that they want to go, but also what they're achieving for their sponsors and making a difference in the business. So this just gives you a framework of who we are, what the challenges were just in terms of size and scope and scale and diversity. Now I'll hand off to Radha to talk about what was the magic that we put together.
So the issue here is, how do you provide a data analytics skill to your employees? And you can do it a couple of different ways. You can send them to grad school, to UTA or UTD or UNT, and they learn stuff there and come and apply. Or you can bring in a company, you can provide training within the organization. Those are the 2 extremes that we have seen in the past. Go to school or have a training program. Now, that does not solve the problem of integrating domain knowledge with technical skill. Because in the school, they will use generic problem sets, they'll work on that. And the training may or may not address the problems that the employees address at work. So here what we have tried to do, we bring the school to workplace. That's what we do. So we selected a set of courses to put together a program, and the classes are held at Ericsson. So that way, the students who are enrolled in this program, they part of their work time they spend attending class. And we used a learning by doing approach. So these classes are taught by our professors and who are well qualified in this area, and the classes are typically held on a Friday afternoon and Saturday morning. And to integrate domain knowledge with the tool knowledge, we customize the program. So we use Erickson's data sets and Erickson's problems, so that as and when the students learn these skills, they're applying it to the problems at Erickson. And because it is spread over a longer time period, they learn it and they apply and they use it, so that they can see the value of the techniques and tools that they learn. Now, the other issue that we wanted to address is how do we spread it across the organization? This is achieving what we call the viral growth, so that it is not confined to one unit. So the students in this program, they come from many different business units. So there is collaboration and there is learning across different business domains. And to promote the learning by doing approach, there are projects that are sponsored by various departments within Ericsson, and the projects they cut across the entire program. So in every course they learn few techniques and then they apply to the project. So we use it's a project based program, and at the end, after completing this program, the students earn 12 credit hours of graduate credit hours, so that they can, if they want to complete to join a master's program, they have the option of completing another 21 hours to earn an MSBA degree program. That's how the overall program is designed. Now, what it accomplishes, the students learn the skill. The managers who sponsors, they get value out of it. It's because they and later on, Brian will touch on some of the projects that they have completed and the value they have earned. Because in a business organization, the investment must result in certain return on investment. So by doing the sponsored projects by students, the student employees working on the sponsored projects, they learn, they apply, and the business unit gets value. And that is a more sustainable approach to reskilling employees, as opposed to sending them to a grad school where they will learn, and that may or may not result in immediate value addition to the organization.
When we first started this program, our aspirations were to achieve what we've achieved. So we've met our goal and we're measuring success, and I'll share a little bit of that with you in a bit. But what we didn't necessarily think was we would extend the program into a full-on master's program. So now the university is partnering with us to, at our campus, hold the MSBA program for cohort graduates and continue the education for these folks so that they can get their master's degree. And that will start this summer. So that wasn't envisioned when we started, and it just shows you how things can continue to grow as you build the literacy in your organization.
This provides the overview of the program. We call it a certificate program. At the end of after completing the 12 credit hours, they get a certificate and get course credit. Now, this is we have made it a Python-based Python programming. The entire program uses Python throughout. The students learn about statistical methods. So the focus is on statistics, data mining, and AI and machine learning. So they, as and when they learn these skills, they apply it. So the focus is on solving real-world problems. The current problems that they face or new problems that are sponsored by the organization. And there is an emphasis on collaboration across different units within the organization. And the focus is on returning value to the individual in terms of skills, and returning value to the organization in terms of positive return on investment in this particular project.
And so this is, I'll let Radha explain this, but I do want to put some parentheticals around it. If the certification program itself has evolved, but it stayed very much focused on taking a project that is sponsored by someone, putting people, the employees through the program, defining the project, building prototypes, and working all the way through to get to the end result that sponsor has asked for through the program, going through the course. And of course, we also, as part of our organization, have built a Python tutoring program where every Wednesday we provide the basics, getting people set up on Jupyter notebooks, showing them how to use the libraries, walking them through some fundamental use, giving them some homework. As they gradually get better in Python, we move them to our Friday course, which is all about advanced Python and how you can really solve problems. So the middle part here, the course curriculum, is driven by UTA and the professors, and we connect the individuals through the cohorts on the other two so that we can build the entirety of the program and deliver it. Radha, is there information about the course curriculum that you think is interesting for the audience?
I'll just touch on it a little bit, and if anyone has any question, we'll address that. Now, one point I would like to highlight here is the program is very rigorous. In fact, when we started off initially, I was in two minds. We had meeting with the prospective students before the program started, and I was I had a dilemma. Should I tell them that, hey, it's going to be really hard? And because people, I knew that in industry, when people think of training, and it's not always the same level of rigor that you would expect in a graduate program. But I said, I wanted to be transparent. I said, we want only people who are going to put in the effort, and otherwise it will not be successful. So I told them very clearly that this is going to be very rigorous. You have to complete your assignments. You have to keep up with the program. It's no different from going to grad school, except that the grad school is coming to your campus. And also, these are taught by some of our best faculty, and even though we are located in the College of Business, we have a very technical, technically our programs are very rigorous. So some of the faculty who teach this program are excellent, outstanding academics. So we maintained that rigor, and the students in turn reacted very well. So they like the rigor, they keep up with the program. So it's essentially, we took 12 credit hours of 4 courses, covers statistical methods, data mining tools and techniques, and then the introduction to data science, get them started on, there is a lot of emphasis on data pre-processing, because as you know, data provisioning is a big issue. When you want to embark on data-driven decision making, making data available, making good data available is very important. So data program puts a lot of emphasis on data pre-processing, because you are dealing with large data sets which may have hundreds of attributes. So how do you select the right attributes? How do you deal with missing data? And those of you who have used data analytics at work, you perhaps are aware, data is a big issue, having access to clean data. So the last course goes into real, very technical AI and machine learning techniques. The data science, intro to data science and advanced data science, that's taught by one of our faculty who is really at the very top of the very advanced knowledge he has. And so they get into Hadoop, big data analytics, deep learning, image processing. So, but again, the value is driven by applying it to the project.
Excellent. And just for the duration, it's a 6-month cohort that has these 4 classes that run for about 5 weeks each. The original ones were in person. Due to COVID, the end of the second and the entire third cohort have been remote, and it's still been very effective. We were concerned that being remote might not provide the level of engagement needed, but the students have done a fantastic job. They spend as much as 20 hours a week on this. This is a big investment personally for them, and they have done a fantastic job. So here's a little bit of an example of the return on the data literacy program. We've saved over $2 million associated with the projects, and we've created dozens of sponsors, and that's not to be looked on lightly. That's where we're going to gain this intense viral growth that we want for data literacy across the organization. And it's the projects, some of them were deemed as modest, like quantifying the value of automation. Should I really be automating? When should I automate? What kind of return do I get from it? It was incredibly meaningful to the stakeholder, the sponsor who had us do this, because of now he's making really informed decisions of when to and how to apply automation for a very complex part of our business. I won't read all of these to you, but it's everything from workforce automation to prioritizing tickets in a manufacturing streamline, improving our deployment NOC workflows, forecast accuracy of our supply, so supply chain, finance, and the interesting thing is that the 3 or 4 people that get on the projects, one might be from support and repair, one might be from the network's design group, another one might be from finance, and so they're working on projects that go across our organization and helps build this language that we're trying to build. Moving into the summary, these are the areas that we considered, and you could consider as well, to expand your data literacy. The customized training program, I mean, this is a master's program, so this is a customized master's program, but if that would work for you, I can't speak more highly of the University of Texas at Arlington. They're cost effective, they've got the competence, they're very flexible, they've worked through some unique logistic challenges with us. So, if that works for you, Rod, I'd be a great person to contact. You have to have formal objectives and key results. If you don't have objectives that are aligned with the effective driving of a program like this, then you're going to really struggle with being able to measure your success on the outcome. The innovation sharing across the enterprise is critical, and this takes time. This takes a lot of time, a lot of energy. Noticed a couple people that are in our audience today. Vince Garleski is one of them. He helps us drive this across the global organization. We've built marketplaces, we've established communication plans, et cetera. So it takes time and effort. Communications, recognition, and rewards is very important to the employee, right? They're not just there to get a paycheck. They're there to see that they're making a difference. And I can tell you that this is an area where people are energized. They volunteer their time to get engaged in doing these innovations. This is what it's about. Employee-led Python training, we put that together. You can get external training, but if you do an internal employee-led Python training, then it builds on itself. As people become more competent, they become the trainers, and you train the trainers, and then you expand the competency across the organization. This is how we're building our developers. And this program drove the monthly Lunch and Learns, where we bring in an industry expert or someone who solved a unique and challenging problem with intelligence and presents to the team every month. It's well attended, and it's again driving the kind of interaction that we want across our organization. I'm going to share briefly with you just some communications and then some recognitions and rewards, just so you can see that This isn't just fluff what we're talking about. This is our internal branding for the innovations that we develop, and it's really intended to be cute. It's intended to, this is Alex Makarenko here on the right-hand side, one of our key architects, and we build these little avatars of them. And this is sent out as just a little communication. Hey, have you heard about this thing? And check here, and you just click on the demo and it brings them to what they want. And it's a sharing mechanism. Here he's encouraging them to, use the AI capability within it with a thumbs up or a thumbs down so we can drive better understanding of the analytics of the use and whether it's meeting their intention. This was for a recommender function. Here you've got Steven, so this is Stephen Barlow over here, who leads our marketplace, which is the marketplace of all our innovations. He's being asked, hey, I just went through my Wednesday Python training and I'm ready to get started. Well, Stephen then can connect them to a development project and get them engaged. And this is, again, about making it really easy for people to get engaged. Here's a gentleman, this is another person. It's Alex Cruz, who put together a really cool automation for our engineers, and somebody else who's interested in it. You can just go out and find it here. So I won't go through any more of that. And then for rewards and recognition and awards, Ericsson, through the White House COVID-19 Open Research Dataset Challenge, was one of the selected winners for the work done. And I think there were as many as 17 people from the cohort that worked on that. It's very important for us to be giving back to our community, and that's one of the ways we did it. A couple of the people that graduated from the cohort were awarded the Gold Medal Managed Services Innovation Competition for something that was called Eve in a Box, which was an intelligent method of managing small dedicated networks. There's dozens and dozens of what we call E-stars. These are recognitions that go out for individuals who are doing things that are above and beyond, and this team of people is very highly awarded. The Technovation Idea Lab Celebration event that took place this year, one of the people was a mentor on that. And we've got lots of other innovations that are being nominated. So again, connecting the dots back to that, to the slide that we talked about back here on the different things that you can do, the communication recognition, the employee-led Python training, the lunch and learns, the innovation sharing, all of this is really important in terms of underlining that data literacy and driving it across your organization. Radha, do you have any closing remarks before we open up for questions?
I think, so there are two things I just to summarize the takeaway. One is providing the skill and the opportunity for the employees. And the second, which is equally important, is ensuring that it spreads through the organization. That's very important, because if it happens only within one pocket, it's not going to be sustainable, because it's a different way of looking things. So all that has been done within Ericsson to build momentum, it's very important, because we're talking about change management, transitioning, that's very important. Now, just one other thing I would like to point out. Now, this is a custom program sponsored by the organization. Now, that may not be available to everyone, but those individuals who want to get analytic skill but don't want to complete a full master's program, we are planning to start a 15 credit hour graduate certificate that you can complete at UTA. That is just, if you are interested in that, that will roll it out in fall 2021, and that was at the advice of our advisory board. They suggested to us, why don't you do a shorter program that will allow people to reskill without putting in 2 years of effort. So that's also available. If you're interested, you can reach out to me.
Thank you, Radha. John, I noticed you came back into the frame here. I didn't see any questions come up in the Q&A. Do you have any?
I don't see any. I would encourage the participants to submit your questions in the Q&A section over there. I had a question, and yesterday I shared with you an article that I had seen that's related to this topic. It was written up by McKinsey and one of their clients, which is a large steel manufacturer in India, had undertaken a similar, probably a little more modest approach, but the concept was the same, right? This is upskilling workers to apply and better leverage data and analytics to improve efficiencies. Do you envision, I guess I'm asking you for a crystal ball here, right? Because it's fantastic that Ericsson and other organizations are taking this initiative and being proactive, but shouldn't we be expecting that this should be part of a broader curricula for business grads coming in, even in engineering, right? To have a foundational language understanding of this.
Yeah, I'm going to defer that to Radha because he's the academic. Radha, what are your thoughts?
Yes, I do agree. In fact, this is not just because we have technology hypes, right? Technologies come and then die away. But it's not. It is. We are seeing a transition here because of various reasons, because of availability of data, because of availability of tools and techniques. So this is going to be how we are going to do things in future. So every person should have analytic skill, and in fact we are doing in academia, we are aware of that. So what we have done, first of all, it's a very new program. So our masters in business analytics program is about 7 years old. We got early on into the game, and now we have started a bachelor's in business analytics, and it will start this fall 2021. But we also have created 2 certificates, a undergraduate certificate in business analytics and a graduate certificate in business analytics. So earlier I mentioned about the importance of marrying analytic skill with domain knowledge. So when a finance graduate, accounting graduate, marketing graduate understand analytics and can apply, they add a lot more value to the organization. So we are expecting our students in other majors will complete the analytics certificate so that they have the analytics tools and techniques, and they can use data-driven decision-making skills at work. And we expect the same for our graduate certificate. So the non-analytics majors will have that skill. You are right. In future we'll need our employees to learn these tools. It will become like spreadsheet. Like we expect everyone to know spreadsheet.
I was just thinking the same thing, right? It's an expectation, right? It's table stakes for a professional now to have these skills. So we have a couple of questions here. The number one upvoted question is from Tom, asking, based on how many employees went through the training at Ericsson, how pervasive are these skills, enhanced skills, through the organization to aid in data literacy?
I'll take that one. We have had 45 people go through the program so far. We had anticipated being at about 60 by this date. We're almost 2 years, or through the program after we started. It will be in August, and of the 45, they're spread throughout the organization. And how pervasive are these enhanced skills? I can tell you that the majority of the people that have graduated are using these skills regularly. I had 6 on my team over the period of time that have gone through it. And they're building everything from enhanced data dashboards to isolate issues faster on quality of products, the contract management, scope management, to understanding how customer tickets are being managed and how they can be improved, for building such things as recommenders, recommending what you should do next, as opposed to having all the tribal knowledge in a person's mind. And frankly, there's another thing that's happening. People that have gone through these cohorts are moving in non-intuitive ways to other parts of the organization. One of the engineers on the support team has now moved into sourcing. One of the engineers on the support team has moved into one of what we call our customer units, facing the customer, providing analytics for different customer requirements. So although it's not easy to say in a company our size that it's become pervasive, it is becoming very meaningful, and it is becoming spread across the organization. And there's a pretty high demand. We'll send out a communication this week for the next cohort, and we'll have 100 people come to that to hear what it's about and to try to get engaged. It's a pretty high demanded program within our organization. Some of them are scared away by the 20 hours a week, but we also provide every bit of support we can to make sure they're successful. This isn't about putting somebody in a master's program and grilling them. This is about putting somebody in a master's program and standing them up and giving them every opportunity.
Excellent. That's fantastic. I hope to see it emulated by other companies. Do you think Ericsson will replicate it in other parts of the organization around the globe?
One of the things, especially with the success we've had with cohort 3, and we're waiting to do the survey of that cohort, is to expand it so that we can have remote participants in places like our California offices, our Bellevue offices, our Canada offices, and then there's no reason why it couldn't expand globally. For a time zone basis, it's easier for us to keep it within our 3 time zones here. So.
Yeah. So you partially answered in your description about the 2 years coming up on 2-year anniversary for the program, but when you think about the planning, is that 2 years from the start of planning or from the first cohort?
It took Radha, it took us almost a year to get there, didn't it?
Wow. Okay.
So, no, that's. But there really wasn't a North Star for us. We couldn't say, look at this program that was done here and what it's done for that company. We were being a little bit of a pioneer, and frankly, there was a bit of a risk on my part, right? If I had them spend all this money on this program and it was a bust, it's like, what? And I had just joined the company. So, I mean, I probably, just by virtue of maybe being a little risk adverse, covered my bases a little bit more than I might have had to, but I think in the end it worked out exactly to the timing that we needed it to be anyway. So.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, this is a totally new way of rescaling. In fact, I do not have, for us also on the academic side, it's a new way of doing things. We have never done this before. So it was all learn by doing. So, and it requires a lot of, on the academic side also, we are heavily regulated, not only within the university, but outside. We have to get approval from a lot of external agencies, from the UT system, Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, SACS. We have to maintain our accreditation because at the end, it's an academic program too. It's not just a executive education where you come and learn and go away. So yes, it took almost a year to prepare, and then we have fine-tuned it. But now I think we kind of know how to make it work. But it requires a lot of effort from both sides. I guess a lot from Ericsson. Brian has put in a lot of effort to convince his people and management.
I think that as pioneers, you've blazed a trail that I hope a lot of other organizations follow. Both of you. So we got a couple of more questions that have come in from Solomon. It's asking, did you find that the sponsors needed to be trained, or were they already versed in data analytics to drive the training of domain experts to develop a common vocabulary with data scientists? Do you see the question, Brian?
Yes. Solomon, it's a fantastic question.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a segmented answer. We definitely, Dana Cavasso's on with us today, and Dana works in the analytics and automation group within Ericsson. So her manager, Bjorn, absolutely understood what we were doing. Dana, by the way, is fabulous. She's a manager. She leads the team, right? And she was concerned that she didn't necessarily have, the background to be able to take this program and really use it. But I got to tell you, she was one of our stars throughout the program. She's done a fantastic job continuing after the fact. Her team is actually the team that drives our Lunch and Learns every week. That Bjorn is an absolutely fabulous sponsor, and he gets it. There were others that understand that we're on this evolving hype of AI and ML, and they knew they had to get on, and they knew that they weren't positioned, and they had these really talented people, but they were skilled in the domain, not in the data science. And so they took a leap of faith and jumped in with us. Since then, most of those sponsors have recognized the value, and they're actively engaged in communicating with their employees as to how this can be extended. It's a never-ending battle, though. Until we actually all speak data, we'll continue to not be pervasive, and I think it's just a persistence that we have to stay there. So.
I agree. And one last question again, and Prakash is asking specific to the program. What are the prerequisites? I'm going to assume academic prerequisites, and I'm going to kind of expand on that because I'm guessing there's both the university having prerequisites to make certain that people are going to be successful, but what minimal requirements did Ericsson have on the cohorts? So I'll let you both kind of speak to prerequisites.
Yeah, Radha, would you go first, and then I'll talk to the company objectives.
Right. Yeah. It is. This is a graduate program, a graduate certificate. So we have admission requirements that is consistent with admission to any graduate program. The basic minimum is at UTA. The student must have an undergraduate degree and a 3.0 GPA, and then there are other things that they have to meet. So they apply for admission to the certificate, and they are approved through our graduate admissions office to meet the standards to enroll in that program.
And so for Ericsson, there were a number of things. One is we talked at length, and some of the folks that are on here might even remember that this is 20 hours. This is a lot of work. I mean, they literally had to make a commitment that was a fairly sizable personal commitment. And so we worked with them to understand what was required. Then we had to define a project. So that was part of a prerequisite too, to make sure that it worked. And we didn't have a project per person. We would put multiple people on it because there are different skills. Somebody might be advanced in Python and can be the great data wrangler for the team and needs to learn the other things, where somebody else might be a really good business analyst but doesn't have. So we try to combine them in a way that made that work. And the prerequisites were that, obviously they got a sponsor that we could, that they were willing to put the time in and the effort. They would have to be in Plano. That was one of the prerequisites originally because we weren't remote. And they had to commit to being to every class. You couldn't miss a class. There's only, it's a 5-week course with, 10 classes or so. So you have to be there. And the team, obviously everybody stepped up to that.
That's fantastic. Well, that takes care of the questions that have been submitted here, and wanted to thank you both for your time. We're gonna transition now from presentation mode here in a minute to an opportunity to network, and I would encourage you to at least try the platform out. This Remo platform is very interesting and unique. I'm sure everybody's done Zoom and Teams and all the others, but what we're going to do next is interesting, at the very least. But I would ask you to join me in thanking both Radha and Brian for bringing this program to our attention, and we're going to move into networking next. Before we do that, though, I wanted to quickly direct your attention to the next Tech Tuesday event, and that's March 23rd. This will be another multi-person panel presentation. The topic is cybersecurity in the area of 5G, network edge, and massive connectivity, which is it's of great concern to a lot of organizations. And that's going to be presented by one of the other forums, our cybersecurity and IoT forums. More information and all the registration details for that are on our techtitans.org website. When we move over to the networking session, you're going to see what looks like a blueprint of a meeting room, a banquet room of some sort with tables and sitting areas and things like that. You can find out who's in attendance by looking at the names in the chat room, or just click on anybody's avatar in the ballroom, and then you double click on the table, and you'll be joined to that group of people in that table. We're going to keep this up, to till 1:30, so we've got a good half an hour, 35 minutes. Thank you again for joining us for the Tech Tuesday program presented by Analytics and Insights Forum and sponsored by 7T. Enjoy the networking. I'll see you in the ballroom.
Thanks, John.